We have rested as much as one can in London. It's strange to long for it while out at sea, yet once we find ourselves landlocked, all I desire is to be back out there in the dark again. We have known hunger, we have known loss, yet my journey, and the journey of the Z-Shower, is far from over. I have an agreement with the Fathom King to keep objects, artifacts, memories, insubstantial things. It seems a game to that great old thing, but I've been known to play a game or two, and so we will play his. He seeks the heart of something old, and the oldest thing I've seen in the Z we saw at Saviour's Rocks. In amongst the webbing, the tree of ages, the crew called it. Something we witnessed moving through the inky black. Yet, before we travel there, my sights are set on Venderbite. Delivering wine there can still earn us more echoes, and we'll need them yet. Then, the Avid Horizon, to sate that horrible thing in the lower deck. Finally, southeast to Saviour's Rocks, charting more of the unknown sections of my map. First came fuel and food, 15 units of each. 4 casks of mushroom wine would fill the rest of the hold. The repairs made to the ship by the Admiralty had patched the Shower's wounds, yet we still carried many of those wounds ourselves. Hunter's Keep, still a smouldering ruin. We would be at the Tomb-colonies before long. On the 19th of April, we slipped into Venderbite Harbour. Firstly, gathering gossip, selling our mushroom wine, and sampled the day's special at the Vengeance of Jonah. Good as always. We ate with gusto and left with relief. But that night I dreamt of the writhing river, the watercourse where parabola flax grows and nightmares spawn. Perhaps the Vengeance of Jonah had been purchasing their spices from behind mirrors again. From there, our chartered course would take us to the far north, to the cold, frigid beyond, to the settlement known as Wither, moving amongst the dark, a great frozen mass of movement, a lifeberg. Yet the Shower was far faster than the thing. It would not be slowed. Slipping through Censor's Arc, the Andergard harbour of Wither awaited us. There, in that frigid harbour, on the northwest of Withertown, a house stood alone. The house of the question. Here, initiates of the house made offerings to the 3 gods of the deep Z, and perhaps a 4th who was not a god. It's the one place in Wither where you could sometimes get a straight answer for a price, and for one of the crew I needed such attention. The attention of salt for our strange, squiddy cook. The walls around Salt's shrine were written over with tales. I would need to bring it a good story, and 10 echoes. My words sank into the silence like stones into quicksand. The initiate listened, eyes closed, committing every detail to memory. Leave now. If you see where I write your story, it's the worst kind of luck. I would not question his wisdom, and so instead sought to gather intelligence. They seemed to be confused about the time and my attire, yet I cobbled together what I could for some kind of report. An intriguing smell caught my nose. Who'll try? Who'll buy? A street vendor turned skewers on a grill. That makes sense. Nothing like what was sold in London. The shredded jellyfish caught my eye. It's not to everyone's taste, but I sought to give it a chance. Traces of its venom still remained, just enough to make my tongue tingle and to alter my consciousness a touch. My pulse accelerated. An odd thought sparkled in the forefront of my mind. Yet, my hunger was sated. While we had not been at sea long, some shore leave for the crew could not go amiss, and so we kept a low profile. The crew gambled for salt and bone, and we shared in a quiet night of revelry. Yet as I returned to the ship in the morning, a grim sight greeted me. 3 dead, the life sucked out of them, hollowed eyes, soulless. The work of the crimson beast that lurked still in my hold. It was time to be done with it. The Avid Horizon, that was its last delivery. No more, no more. We would launch as soon as the remaining crew were ready. Only 6 crewmen remained, aside from the officers. With all haste, we left Wither behind. With Codex so close, we would dock for but a moment. Enough time to compile a report and to buy a few more units of fuel. The Chapel of Lights lay due east, yet I would not waste any more time or lives. We set our course straight for the horizon, straight towards one of those things. The Lifeberg cracked, its fissures grinding out there in the dark before surging towards us. Yet I would not allow us to be slowed. We pushed on, full speed, and there, finally, in the distance, the Avid Horizon, the final port, the final delivery. I would be done with the thing once and for all. Yet a thought lingered in the back of my mind, the vial. Whilst I was visited in my dreams by the beast, I could not present it. I could not offer it. Yet here in the waking world, it weighed down my coat pocket. Yes, that horrid thing would get a gift from me. Excitement, fear, terror, all of it bubbled inside me as we entered the icy embrace of the horizon. As soon as we docked, Mr. Sachs lumbered ashore. It had been preparing for this. Plunging a hand into its cloak, it removed a handful of ammonia-scented snow. It placed it upon the ground and added another on top. Into this one, it pressed teeth and hair from a small box. Potential substance. Only one thing needed to be added. As in the tales of the Gnomon, the Crimson Beast of Winter waited impatiently for me to provide it. It expected me to add my blood, yet I and the crew had already bled enough. I would substitute it with that little vial. Carefully, I moved to cut my hand with a pocket knife, but the vial was clutched in my palm, keeping the blade safe from my flesh. I tipped it carefully, dripping a few drops of the thick blood into the pile. They fizzed in the lacquer, which softened and melted into a puddle of snow. A hand emerged from it, then a head, then another hand stretching as it clambered up from nowhere. The twisted face of a gargoyle rippled with red blood. It screamed. The monster threw its head back, blood welling in its hollow eyes, dripping down its half-formed face. The nascent arms exploded into wings of shining ice as sharp as any razor. It bent backwards, new hands clawing at its eyes. Just as abruptly as the scream began, it stopped. The shape collapsed, melted. Mr. Sachs looked away.
Another failure,
it intoned, stepping through the pile on its way to the Avid Horizon's sealed gates. It rested, a gloved hand against it, basking in the chill.
The whisper of a place to hold for God. Regretting your service is done. Begone before I clean my mind.
And just like that, he departed. Finally, we were free of it. I steadied my mind as best I could, attempting to gather intelligence. The stillness was the same as in the past. The gate stood closed. The harbor was still. Now would come the journey to Saviour's Rocks, directly southeast as the sea-bat flew. I would attempt to take us through the darkness, through the unknown, and so it was. We left the Avid Horizon and that horrid thing behind. It would be difficult to man the vessel with our crew at half strength. Yet the 6 that remained were hardened sailors. They would see this journey through. It was the morn, when the ship's bell rang in alarm. A 4-stick Corsair, scouting the darkness. It saw us and sought us, yet we would not falter. Volley after volley led the Corsair to the depths of the sea. Approaching the wreckage, we sought whatever treasure remained from the villain's take, and, surprisingly, a filthy scrap of paper, creased and grimy. It was a page from a journal, until the 6th candle was extinguished. Now we all watched the flame as it stood up, as if it were on tiptoe, taller and brighter each heartbeat. Its light grew brighter in the moments before it failed, so that I saw the faces of all my companions drawn and white, as if we were already dead. Then the flame drew itself up like a dancer and was extinguished. Dark fell upon us like a wave, and I heard the hatchlings uncoil, a tale of terror and nothing more, still more than enough to give one nightmares. No land, no docks, just strange coral lobes rising from the sea as far as one might see, and then the familiar sight of Port Cecil. I made my report as great moves took place under the splotched, silvery light. We could purchase further fuel here as well, which seemed wise so far out. Now lay further darkness between us and the rocks, yet we would sail it all the same, past the wreck of the Emperor Wolfgang into the unknown, and there, above the Antwine abyss, we saw them. First, an Alcaeus-class vessel, and then another, as we exchanged cannon fire under the light of flares. Yet another vessel emerged from the dark, a trireme. We sought to focus on the first, firing cannon after cannon, narrowly missing the returning shots before, crippled and broken, it came to a stop. We would have to be quick, investigating the wreckage. And there, over the port side, I saw her once more. The pirate poet. Yet again, I extended a hand and offered her a lifeboat before turning our attention to the others. Unfinished pirates, stonemen, perhaps friends of the pirate poet. Yet we would not take our chances. The Iscariot, a tramp steamer, circled us as we did battle. After our last volley, we pulled up alongside the downed vessel. Fragments of clay were littered across the deck. These men do not surrender. Within, we found supplies. Surprisingly enough, perhaps even the stonemen had a taste for hard tack, and yet I could not tell the intention of the Iscariot. They remained close, yet they did not fire. Scavengers, perhaps, hoping to pick up the pieces we left behind. And so, we would leave them. Godfall was close, a chance to dock and double-check that we weren't taking on any water. Whilst the crew did their checks, I made my report. Not much had changed since our last visit, although we were far less hungrier this time. The crew were taking longer than expected. One of the Blemigans lingered by the dock's edge. With a little encouragement, it was gone, up the dripstone flank of the stalactite, into a tiny tunnel. I hoped the thing would like it here. Now we left, onwards to Saviour's Rocks, hunting something old, something I did not even begin to know how to hunt. We had faced creatures and great vessels of steam and iron, yet what we saw beneath those silken webs was something far older than any of that. Fog hung low over much of the rocks, and as we neared them, the lookout shouted. Far above, the false stars in the cavern roof were shifting, a rare and ominous event. Whilst it was dangerous to observe them now, the crew seemed overjoyed. Yet 3 of the false stars winked out altogether as suddenly as closed eyes. The pattern that remained was hopeless, meaningless as a cast die. Somewhere, Azela began to sob. Yet I would not cry, for our goal lay ahead, our light illuminating the darkness once more. We sailed the rocks, seeking the thing, before finding it to the south. A writhing mass of eyes and tentacles and appendages beneath the waves. We could not afford to be struck by the thing. Back and forth we went, circling one another, the great thing lashing out towards us. The stories the crew had shared spoke of the thing spitting acid over great distances. We could not face it head on. We would seek the rear of the thing, avoiding its charges, being wary of its wake. Volley after thumping volley rang through the rocks. After what seemed like hours, we had the thing bleeding. Time and time again, the engine was set to full power, then shut, then full power once again. The only way for us to avoid its gnashing jaws. Our dangerous dance continued. We had it on the ropes now. It was slowing, yet it had not given up its fight yet. Yet I knew we were close. 1 or 2 more good volleys would see the thing stilled. 1 more well-placed shot. We rounded, yet we did not have the arc. Finally, the last shot did it. Its carapace cracked like armored ice. Bulbous, many-legged shapes swarmed out, flooding the water. The spiders, which comprised its flesh, fleeing like rats. It was breaking up. Within it, I would seek its heart. There were writhing organs, twitching limbs. My ship slowed as it navigated the slick of stinking, dying spider flesh, awash with bluish, copper-smelling blood. I saw and learned more than I could ever wish. Yet there in that tubule sheath, we hauled it out with a boat hook. There may be another tree of ages in time. The sorrow spiders are patient and numberless. Yet I now have this one's heart. We were low on fuel once more. Much of it spent circling the rocks, battling that massive thing. The nativity of the spiders could offer fuel, yet I feared what they might think for the slaying of something so old beneath their webs. Just as we docked, yet another lemmigant leapt off, whirling across the quay, under a silk merchant's store, occasioning some alarm. It was gone from my life. My duty was done, yet not quite. With a furious insectile screech, sorrow spiders converged on the stall. The Blemigan was driven out into the open. It smashed one spider carapace with its beak, vaulted another spider in a flash of fungal dexterity, and fenced with the third as they both dashed up a wall, and it was gone into the webs, its high-felt slimes protecting it from their sticky adhesions. Spiders poured after it. There's no telling its end. Not me, not any. If anyone asked, I was probably not even here. I would make my time quick. There would be no opportunity to compile a report, so I would buy my fuel and supplies. We could continue on farther yet, but for the moment, we would rest. We would recover. Our vessel was whole, and our supplies many once again. And I had one piece of the puzzle, the heart of that great thing. Part of me fears the Fathom King's game. Yet, what are monarchs for, if not to play with the lives of their subjects? And while I might not think of myself as beneath the Fathom King, no doubt he imagines his kingdom spreads far and wide, his subjects many, and so 1 of 6, a legend's heart, the others that remained, a miracle of science, a willing guest, an eldest's end, fruit of an eternal tree and a skylight. Oh, the places we shall go. Whatever does await us in that great, dark beyond. Azala can never know. Yet as the captain pretends they might, even if one is not sure, they must present that certainty. A mask can only hide so much. For the crew, I will remain stoic. In the morn, we carry on.